Hey everybody, welcome back to Gaijin Guide. Sorry it's been a while, but as you might know from following me on Twitter, recently I was sick, and that's actually kind of part of what we're going to talk about today. But yeah, I was sick for basically like the better part of a week. Just talking without going into a coughing fit was not easy, and then I actually got diagnosed with influenza B and had I decided, well, okay, I definitely need to take it easy as possible. But now I'm pretty much back. I still have a little bit of a cough stuck in my chest that I just haven't been able to quite shake. But that's how it is with the flu. Sometimes if you catch a particularly nasty case, which is what I think I did this time, it can sometimes take like 2 weeks for everything to fully run its course. So hopefully within the next few days I'll finally get rid of this last little bit of it. But anyway, when you're living overseas, it is inevitable, of course, that you are going to get sick. And going to the doctor when you're sick in a country and you're still working on the language, that's always a tough situation. Especially if you're not really sure where the best place to make an appointment would be, or hopefully be able to find a doctor who can at least somewhat speak your language. Now, us English speakers, we're fortunate in that English is kind of like the international language of medicine. So uh, doctors here in Japan often have, at least a little bit of English under their belt. I've been fortunate, like the times I have had to go see a doctor, they've been able to communicate with me to at least a reasonable degree. And that was the case this time. Um, Influenza B, it's interesting here. They actually had to do a sample and they ended up putting a stick up my nose, which was not a terribly pleasant experience, but not awful either. Um, and I got some medicine, which did help. And one thing I do have to say though is I did have somebody go with me to help me fill out all the paperwork. The place I went to was actually quite fortunate, quite nice. Being here in the city, they actually had a form that was bilingual, which was really nice. Um, And then she also kind of helped me with getting my medicine at the pharmacy and making sure I understood the directions, which thankfully were all quite self-explanatory. I got some medicine for the situation of my lungs. I got some headache and fever things, which fortunately I didn't really have too much of a problem with. And then I also got something that was just called Chinese medicine, which I just decided not to question too much. But I do think that also helped a little bit. And yeah, talking to a doctor and getting that medicine cost me basically like $35. So universal healthcare is certainly not without its downsides, but compared to what something like this would have cost me in the United States, well, I think I think that kind of just we can just leave that there. It would have been a hell of a lot more than $35. Um, so yeah, that is one thing I will say is that I really enjoy living in a country where I have universal health care, and if I get sick, I can go to a doctor, be treated, and not have to worry about ending up in the poorhouse. I mean, I can't even buy a new video game for $35. I mean, well, like a top tier one that would rub me almost in a lot of cases almost twice that. 60 $70 if I got a special edition or something. So yeah, one of the kind of the downsides though is that I'm kind of a tall guy, I'm kind of a big guy, so the medicine here is designed in a lot of ways for people who are smaller than I am. So if I get over-the-counter medicine, it generally tends to be less effective than what I would get back in America. You don't have options for like just going to the pharmacy and picking up some NyQuil, for example, which is really unfortunate. I can't tell you. The one time I was able to get my hands on some NyQuil when I was in Korea was when I, through a friend, was able to briefly visit an American Army base, and oh my God, I reacted to that like it was like I'd found gold. Um, because that stuff works. I did get some medicine at a pharmacy, and I think Japan has gotten a little bit better in terms of selection of over-the-counter medicines, but it's still kind of lacking compared to what I'd be able to pick up if I went to like a CVS or a Walmart or a Walgreens back in America. But the Japanese pharmaceutical industry spends a lot of money and time pressuring the Japanese government to keep foreign drug makers out. Uh, but yeah, so this is some okay medicine. I think it did help. Uh, but that's another kind of one of the things here is that when you're trying to figure out medicine at the store, I mean, sure, there's Google Translate to kind of help you, but it can still be a really overwhelming experience at times. Um, Kind of wasn't helped that I went to a really popular pharmacy that was also tax free and thus filled with quite a few foreign tourists picking up odds and ends to take back home with them. Uh, I would personally recommend avoiding pharmacies like that just for the whole like not constantly wanting to yell at other foreign tourists. Will you please get out of the way? Um, just go to a regular pharmacy. The people there are usually quite helpful. Although I will say one thing about going to one of the ones that does kind of cater to the more international crowd. You are more likely to find people who possess enough English to help you. Like the particular one I went to, like I said, it was full of a lot of foreign tourists. So they have staff people there that know English. I believe there are also some people there that know Chinese and people who know some Korean. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword if you want to try going to somewhere like that. But if you do end up having questions about medicine, I do think at the end of the day, it's it's a kind of a minor hassle to put up with to get something that you might really need. I felt proud of myself that I was able to get what I needed without having to ask anybody and without having to go to the translation app on my phone. It was just really a matter of looking carefully at the pictures on the box, reading some hiragana and katakana, and of course a little bit of kanji, and just being careful. So when I got what I wanted, I'm like, that was like, yes, okay, I feel proud of myself. Um, so let's see, what else? What else? What else? Yeah, I guess that's what I kind of have to say. Of course, if you have any like medication that you need that are like seriously important to your health, I would recommend like holding onto the bottle or making sure you know how that medication is written in the language of the place you're going to. Again, even just having the empty bottle, something you can show to a pharmacist or a doctor, that could potentially be extremely important if there's some sort of a medical emergency. So, and of course, it never hurts to kind of have a little idea of like, okay, if I do get sick, what kind of medicine can I take to kind of help me? This would definitely be something to like ask other foreigners in your area. You know, sort of like, hey, can you show me the bottle, or anything like that. And if you can find a fellow foreigner who maybe has some medicine from your home country that they've held onto and are willing to share, be very grateful to that person. Medicine from back home is often a bit, of course, at a premium overseas, and if it works better than what you have around you, then oh boy, that stuff can really be worth its weight in gold. So again, be extremely grateful to anyone who's willing to be that generous with you. because being sick is never fun, and it's certainly no fun when you're overseas and access to medical care or over-the-counter medicine and what you're used to is more difficult. So with that said, guys, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, subscribe. Of course, you can join me on Twitter at Gaijin Gaiden. Also, please join me on Tumblr at Gaijin Gaiden. Until next time, take care and have a good one.